BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook where you can bet on everything, anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. They have the best bonuses in the industry. Get a 125% sign-up bonus with my link in the description box below. And to celebrate their 30-year anniversary, they're giving away up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
It's beginning to look a lot like last year. Every game I watch.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show here on a Sunday night, Eric. This game was pretty brutal. The Blazers lose 134-110 against the Los Angeles Lakers, and they were winners of 2 in a row going into this game. Did not continue any of the success from the previous couple of games, and a big part of that is they kind of tried to play this game exactly like they played the last game, despite the Lakers being a completely different team than the Indiana Pacers. And we're going to get into why you can't just go into the same game with the same game plan, because some teams are different. And this Lakers team picked apart the Blazers on the defensive side of the ball. The Blazers could not get a stop. The Lakers put up 134 points on the board. On the offensive end, other than Malcolm Brogdon, who had a good game, there was basically nobody to write home about. There's a few impressive plays here or there. Jabari Walker, okay game, but for the most part, offensively, this whole offense was pretty much stuck in mud and did not look good for basically the entire game, and we're back to the losing ways, losing this game by 24. Eric, are you ready to be back to our losing ways?
I'm ready for Tankathon, though. I've kind of missed it, but other than that, no, I mean, it's a bummer. You win 2 straight, you think maybe they can turn a corner, but, I mean, this happens every freaking time we win a few games. You think maybe some of the issues from the season could be changing. They could be getting better. They could be developing. The coaches could be learning. But nah, like you said, they think when they win a couple games, they just got to keep doing whatever it is they did in that last game. And when you play a different team, especially a team like the Lakers, who have a couple of unique dominant players, and a point guard that gives us trouble. It's just, I mean, I wasn't surprised that we didn't see a very good game plan tonight.
Yeah, very, very brutal. This post-game show is brought to you by BetUS. Use the link in the description box below for a 125% deposit match. I'll have more information later on in the stream on how you can win Super Bowl tickets as NFL is into conference championship games. And
let's go!
Hopefully our Niners, Eric, will be in the Super Bowl.
That was almost like one of the most depressing days as a sports fan.
I had people telling me they were going to talk trash on my stream. I was like, man, I'm not going to deal with that. I was a nervous wreck during that entire game, but we're here. We're still alive. We'll see if they can get to the Super Bowl.
Hopefully they managed to survive their one bad game, and now everything will be good.
Yeah.
We're both 49er fans, for those that don't know.
Mm-hmm. Like, at least some teams are still giving me the experience of, like, being emotionally invested to the point where, like, my heart races and I feel nervous and, like, hyped when good things happen and sad when bad things happen. Because right now, this Blazer team is not really giving me any emotions, Eric, because...
Uninteresting, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only emotion they're giving me right now, for the most part, is simply frustration. Because a game like this was absolutely brutal, was very frustrating, and it's just solely for the reason where they literally come out with the same game plan as last game. So last game against the Indiana Pacers, right? You're playing a team. Who's their most physical player? Miles Turner? He is not a physical center. He shot 10 threes in that game. He doesn't rebound well for a center. Indiana is not a physical team. They shoot a lot of threes and get buckets on the interior because of the way they're able to space the floor and shoot threes, and they create gaps that way, right? So how do you shut that down? How did the Blazers shut that down? They basically ran a matchup zone. They switched, and even when you had Scoot on Miles Turner wasn't physical enough to really be much of a option to beat that. Like, he did not do he was battling for position with Scoot, but Scoot could move Miles Turner off the spot, right? And Miles Turner loves to play behind the three-point line. And then you're switching, guys onto Buddy Hield, bigger guys onto Buddy Hield, like a Jabari Walker. It's just, well, you guard them at the three-point line, and that's pretty much it, right? So that's the type of team that's a really good team to switch against, especially with the Blazers going with a bigger lineup with Jeremy Grant at the 3 and Jabari Walker at the 4. The Lakers are not a team you do that against. And you saw it earlier in the game, and I started tweeting about it very early in this game. They got LeBron. They're playing lineups with like LeBron, Jared Vanderbilt, and Anthony Davis. Guess what? You switch Scoot onto LeBron or Anthony Davis, they're just using their size to pick them apart. The other thing Portland did at times in the Indiana game is they would send a double, and the results weren't too bad. They got one guy that really passes the ball well in Halliburton. Everybody else is like mediocre at best in terms of passing the ball. But this game, we come out, we're switching. So we're switching like Ant onto LeBron. We're switching Brogdon onto LeBron. We're switching these mismatches onto LeBron that LeBron can take advantage of if you don't double. So then we're trying to double him, but it's freaking LeBron. He can pass the ball. He will pick that apart, and they just cut behind the double teams, and we're not rotated, and they get a bunch of buckets at the rim. And it's like, it worked against Indiana, but I could have told you before this game that it would not work against LA. Because they have more size, they play more physical, they shoot the most free throws in the league per game, they play and live at the rim. In teams that live at the rim, the number one thing they want you to do is switch smaller guys onto their bigger players so they can just post them up, dump it down, and finish at the rim. Okay, and the number one thing that LeBron wants you to do is to switch smaller guys onto him that he can pass over, and then send a weak double team that doesn't get there in time, and he can just distribute to, it's a 4-on-3 behind that. So defensively, this is my problem with Chauncey. This is my problem with a lot of coaches. Terry Stoss in the past just ran drop, basically only drop, and it drove me crazy because there's only drop. Chauncey, I guess to his credit, will switch it up, but the problem I have is it's like not thought out well at all, and it pisses me off. He had a good game plan last game for his opponent, okay? But you got to be able to switch things up based on your opponent and know what to do against certain types of opponents. And it's just like, I don't know if it's a lack of scouting, NBA scouting, where, I mean, but they know this Laker team. They've already played them twice this year. They got LeBron, they got AD, they got Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. Like, they got a lot of size. And they play at the rim, they play in the paint. We've experienced that this year, right? So they should know. And that's what has me lacking confidence, and that's part of the reason why they can never sustain success, Eric, and why I'm never confident in them sustaining success, because they'll do something that works because it's the right thing given the team they're playing, and they'll win a game, and it's like, oh, this is what we got to do all the time, and then they'll come out next game against the opposite type of team, and it'll get eviscerated, and it's like, it's just stupid to me. It drives me crazy that this is any good game the Blazers have. They will try and do the exact same things no matter who they're playing, even though you got to be able to adapt to who you're playing to. You got to be able to adjust to who you're playing to. And the lack of foresight behind game plans with Chauncey, and then the lack of adjustments after it obviously starts going bad, it gives me no faith in his coaching ability.
Yeah, I completely agree. Unfortunately, just hoped it would be different with this guy, but it's not. And so Michael Holton, who was doing him and Travis did the play-by-play. I don't know what happened to Lamar and Kevin officially. But so the Blazers come out of this game. It was like, okay, so Ayton guards Anthony Davis, and that means they'll have Jeremy Grant on LeBron. And the first couple possessions, Jeremy Grant is on D'Angelo Russell. And
Yep.
Holton was like, why do they have, like, it doesn't make any sense, because then Anthony's guarding Rui, and Jabari Walker's guarding LeBron, and outside of transition, it's not like LeBron hurt us that much tonight, but it just right from the beginning, it felt like our game plan was wrong, and like, I don't know, it's just you can't put Jeremy Grant on D'Angelo Russell. It's just stupid, and everyone knows that, including our own play-by-play guy or color analyst.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what is Chauncey doing? Why? This is a freaking NBA coaching staff, and like you said, they're having a game plan against a finesse running team, against a slow pound it in the paint team, and that does not make any sense. And I don't know. I'm baffled that they can just continue to think this will be the way. It's just like they have one game of success, and all of a sudden, no, we found the answers. We just got to do this every time. No, it's not that easy, dude. You have to constantly be working on it and changing it and fine-tuning it and doing different things against different opponents, like you said.
Yeah. It's just they lack preparedness going into games. Like, sometimes they have the right game plan and they're actually competitive throughout an entire game. But sometimes they're just so incredibly unprepared for who they're playing. And this was a perfect example of that. And it drives me crazy because there's no excuse for that. I don't care if they're rebuilding or not. If you're trying to win games, obviously you want to be prepared for who you're going to play so you can freaking beat them. But if you're rebuilding, it's a good thing for these players to learn how to prepare for an opponent. And the coaching staff doesn't even know how to prepare for an opponent based on the strengths and weaknesses of their opponent. And we've seen this numerous times, and it's frustrating. It's not a good developmental thing. So even though we're rebuilding, we don't care about wins and losses. It's not good for development to be this unprepared for your opponent going into a game, and then it's like Ant is sitting there on an island against LeBron or Anthony Davis or whoever. And it's just the weak-ass, like, switch everything defense that this team runs too much. It's funny that they say they want to be the team that nobody wants to play. They want to hang their hat on defense, but then their defense is the most passive bullcrap you can come up with, where they switch a lot of things. Occasionally they'll mix it up, but man, more and more it seems like it's either switch or drop under Chauncey. And basically every ball screen, and even off-ball screens, the guy going through the screen has no help. Mm-hmm. If he's supposed to fight through the screen, the big is dropped 15 feet beneath it. Or they just switch into a mismatch. Some teams you can switch against. Indiana was a team to switch against. It worked out well. I said early in that game, I tweeted out early in that game how it was giving Indiana fits. It was working. Against this team, no, it doesn't work. So hedging, trapping, like on pick and rolls just seems to be completely out the window, and it's just this passive crap, and I don't think you can be consistently good. Even if you have good defensive personnel, I think it's hard to be consistently good if you just switch or drop.
Yeah, and especially when if you're going to double LeBron, you can't then lose the big going right down the middle of the paint. You can't fall asleep on that. You'll just freaking pick that apart every time like you did tonight.
You know what it is? The play to AD, is that the play you're referencing? Like more than
there was the one, where he's in the corner or whatever, and then AD just cuts right down the middle, and both guys fall asleep, and he just goes right between them, and then there was a couple that LeBron just like threw a dart right. Yeah. Like if you're playing in the right position, there's no way he makes that pass easily. But like he just had guys roaming wide open under the hoop for some reason.
Well, you know what it is we switch into a mismatch on LeBron, and then guys are unsure whether or not to double.
Yeah.
Like
and then
that
the double's
played
late, and then it's LeBron picks it apart.
Yeah, like here's the thing: if you're gonna double, you got to commit to the double. Okay, the guy has to go and double the ball, and then the guys on the backside have to rotate to spots to like try and shore up the back line of the defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you half-heartedly go to double, like if you're unsure, and then the guys on the backside are unsure if you're going to double, then not only are you not getting to the ball and not potentially disrupting the pass, you're still leaving your guy, though, if you're inching over towards the double team and staring at the ball, and then the guys on the backside don't know what you're doing, and they don't know where to go, where to rotate, and that's how you have Anthony Davis streaking right behind Jeremy Grant and getting a dunk out of it. You know what I mean? It's like they switch into these mismatches, and then they're like, oh, what do we do? This is a mismatch. Like, do we double or do we not double? And then they get picked apart, and it's just stupid. It's just stupid basketball. Like, I'm so tired of watching stupid basketball at the NBA level. Like, it drives me crazy, bro. They should not be this unprepared, and then when their game plan is to switch into these mismatches on purpose, then they don't even know what to do in terms of doubling or not. It's like, it's just so unprepared. The first half was just so like, it's just clueless defense. And it's not a rookie or young player thing. I know the talking point at the end of this game was, the Blazers played more rookies in this game than any team the last 2 years.
They really
they played
hammered
7
that
of
home
them.
at the end, yeah.
But the defense was as clueless at the start of the game when it was guys like Jeremy Grant not knowing what to do, Malcolm Brogdon not knowing what to do, Anthony Simons not knowing what to do, everybody collectively not knowing what to do. Like DeAndre Ayton, you know? Those guys aren't rookies. Those guys have been in the league for years, and they don't know what to do. But they will try and hammer home that it's, oh, what do you expect with the young players? But my goodness, man, even the vets come out unprepared, and it's mostly just the game plan with the defensive scheme. Like, you got to be able to come up with the right defense given opposing teams' strengths and weaknesses. Going into games is like, okay, what does this team do well? Okay, they attack the rim, they get to the free throw line, they have a lot of size, they attack mismatches. LeBron, if you double him, can pick that apart, so you want to try and not double him. Okay, that's their strengths, right? Switching plays to all their strengths. We literally came out with a defensive game plan that maximized their strengths.
That's pretty smart, right?
Yeah, it drives me crazy, man. So
yeah, well, on the one player we're talking about, so Anthony got switched on LeBron. He's in the far corner. He's not creating an advantage from there, though. And if it is, then you help, like, right at the block. And you just can't lose Anthony Davis in that position. Like, you've got to know where he is, and you've got to stay between him and LeBron. And if LeBron ends up backing Anthony all the way down to the paint, you're right there to double him when he does. If LeBron wants to shoot like a mid-range 20-footer over Anthony, you live with that shot. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the whole point of switching in that situation, is to force LeBron to take a bad shot if he wants it or thinks he can get it off. And he might hit it, he might not. So, like, that's fine. But you don't want to give up an easy dunk or an easy lay-in to one of their best players simply because you just didn't know how to be in position on that play. It's ridiculously bad coaching.
Ridiculously. And then on the offensive end, I mean, our offense has pretty much been the same thing all year, had the same issues all year, but offensively we played to their strengths too, where when you don't move the ball, you allow the defense to set, and you allow the defense to be in perfect help side position. When you're going against a team with a ton of length, it's really hard to score on them when they're able to position themselves in perfect spots and able to load up on drives and help. And basically our entire offense was, when you just run ISO or pick and roll, basically every play you're just dribbling right into the heart of that defense that is already loaded up towards the ball and set. And when you're going against a lot of length, passes that might be there against a shorter team, all of a sudden are getting picked off by Jared Vanderbilt and taken the other way for a dunk in the first half off an Ant pass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can say Ant shouldn't have passed that ball to Scoot, shouldn't have tried to thread that pass. But when you're going downhill at that sort of defense, you don't have a lot of good options because they got a ton of length, and you're literally playing directly into it by just driving directly at it. And it's frustrating. You know, they were able to make some plays out of it, but more often than not, you're going to struggle to make plays against a team with a lot of length unless you get that length moving, running around screens on the perimeter, because bigger guys, it's harder for them to get through screens. We see that all the time with Jeremy Grant, right? So you want to get those guys, especially off-ball screens, you want to get those guys out on the perimeter. You want to get those guys moving so you can have gaps to attack, so you can get angles to finish past the length. Instead, we literally just drive directly at them and then struggle. And even a lot of, like, the buckets we had, it's like Malcolm Brogdon had a couple buckets because, like, he had Austin Reeves on him and just put his head down and, like, basically drove straight through him. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how we try and score. We were able to make a couple plays out of it, but it's not the recipe for a good offensive night. And this was not a good offensive night. Put 110 points on the board. I know that feels a lot for this team, but it wasn't good. And there was a stretch there in the first half where we completely fell out of this game, basically for the rest of the entire game, because we had a string of turnovers because we were playing directly into their hands and just trying to go directly at a defense that we weren't making move at all.
Yeah. I thought this was Anthony's worst game handling the pressures of a double team. And that's because what LA was doing was baiting him into passes and using that length. They were just waiting for him to make the passes that he's been making in those situations. And they were making it appear it's kind of like an NFL defense where you make the quarterback think that a pass is open, and then all of a sudden the linebacker's falling back right in between those. There were so many plays where Anthony thought he had a passing lane, and there was a guy there within by the time the pass got through. And I would have personally, this is just going to be my motto moving forward. Anytime someone commits 3 bad turnovers in a row, they need to just sit for a while. I'm not saying it's all on Anthony in those situations, but I mean, you have to take better care of the ball and realize that. So that's going to be my thing moving forward, whether it's Scoot or Anthony or whoever it is. If you're not taking care of the ball, just, you don't have to bench them the whole game, but they need to come out and just understand that it's not okay to be that careless of the ball, because that freaking killed us. All live ball turnovers, and they got out and ran and blew the game open with those. I mean, not that the game was ever really that close because we were down 17-6 or something, but
we did cut the lead to 2 after that slow start, but then second quarter they ran away.
But that's when Anthony had the turnovers.
Yeah, that string of turnovers. But like for me, man, it's Chauncey's putting him in a bad spot. Like as a coach,
like, what are we doing with Scoot?
What'd you say?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it's just like yeah, you can say, like, hold him accountable for 3 turnovers. He shouldn't be so sloppy. But it's like the guy who would be holding him accountable is the guy that's putting him in a tough-ass spot. You know what I mean? Like, there's the guy that's giving him no good options because the only thing he can do is drive straight into the teeth of a defense with a ton of length and then try and figure something out on his own. Like, Chauncey's not helping him or Scoot at all. Brogdon is a vet, so he's like craftier than both those guys, so he's able to kind of figure out ways. And the thing is like he uses,
he's not getting the same defensive attention either.
That too. But also he like uses his body to like chisel out little like space. So you know that's something for Scoot to learn. But it's like, bro, it's frustrating to see the way the defense loads up, and like there's so many times where it seems like Simons doesn't know what he's supposed to do. If you're going against a team with a lot of length, and they're like athletic length, you know, like a Jared Vanderbilt, they can just overplay at the 3-point line, so he's not going to be able to get off the dribble threes unless they're really tough shots, and then people are getting mad at him for taking a tough shot. But the alternative is he's driving into the teeth of a defense that's just going to swarm him and swarm the passing lanes. And as you said, baited him into it. So, you know, bad turnovers. I just would love for Chauncey to adjust. You know what I mean? Like Like, Simon should figure it out before he makes 3 turnovers in a row, but Chauncey should figure it out before he makes 3 turnovers in a row as well and frickin' figure something out to help him not have 3 turnovers in a row, to help the offense not look like utter dog crap in the first half. So that's kind of my issue is it's hard for me to be too critical of any of the guards right now, even if they do have a stretch where it's like, yeah, that's sloppy play, because I think they're being put in a legitimately bad position, a legitimately tough position.
I just don't understand. Okay, we have 3 guys that in theory should all be able to handle running the offense, right? If Anthony's getting double teamed, why are we not running him off ball where it's much harder to double team and you can use him as kind of a decoy or something, and then have some stuff set up for Scoot to get running downhill towards the basket. We don't do anything for Scoot. He has to create his own shots out in like bad situations, and it's frustrating because he's not like played well most of this year in terms of like being efficient or running the offense or anything. And it's like you said, it's not entirely his fault, but at the same time, like, we're treating him like he's just going to go out there and figure it out without doing anything to kind of like help run the offense so he feels comfortable. And it's frustrating to me that we're just seemingly like, this is our game plan. Okay, we're going to let Anthony dribble it up and get double teamed, and then he's going to try to pass to the middle guy, and then the rest of you just figure out what to do. And like, that's pretty much all we do.
Yeah, it's frustrating. You know what it is, Eric? Like, the offense should be in control. The defense is normally reactionary to the offense.
Mm-hmm.
When we play offense, most of the time, it's not that way. Most of the time, offensively, we let the defense control us. And that's rare. Even bad offensive teams in the league will, they're doubling it? Okay, we're going to run in off a screen, and then we're going to exploit that double team, right? We're going to make them cover him in different ways off different actions, and then we have counters to that, or this cut's there. We're gonna tell our players, a coach, this cut's there. Tell our team, this cut's there. They're leaving this part of the floor open because they're overreacting to this action, etc., etc., etc. Right? The offense should always be in control. Our offense rarely looks like it's in control. Our offense looks like it's being controlled by the defense. Like,
yeah, they're letting the defense dictate what shots we get. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad, and that's not a talent thing. Like, that's a schematical thing. It's easier if you have talent to run a bullcrap offense like that and just have players that are so good that they, can still just dictate and control the entire game. But at the end of the day, you got to put guys in spots to succeed offensively. And our offense just has very little structure, and our offense never adjusts to the way it's being guarded to take back some level of control. It's like, oh, he's being double teamed? Oh, well, he's just going to have to pass out of it, and then hopefully we can make a play, and that's it.
Let's just keep letting him dribble the ball up and turn the ball over every time.
It's just very little thought like gets put into anything. Like the defensive game plan, the scheme we ran today, and then the offense. It's just like there's such little thought that's put into the X's and O's with this team.
Yeah. Well, it also sucks when you have your max center not really doing anything out there either.
Well, I mean, that's who he is. That's who he is.
It was that nice lob from Anthony to Ayton.
Hey, I will say, one good thing about Ayton, he's rolling harder.
He dunked twice in this game.
Yeah, in both times because he rolled hard.
Yeah.
Instead of just rolling to 15 feet and then standing at the free throw line. So, yay, that's the one positive today. Ayton rolled hard a couple of times. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the coaching. Coaching today is bad. Like, it's funny because Chauncey will have a game like the Pacers game and people will be like, oh, where's the people criticizing the coaching? It's like, well, he came up with a good game plan today, but just wait. Just wait. He'll try it against the worst team to try it against, and it'll look awful, and he'll wonder why it didn't work against the Lakers like it worked against the Pacers.
The worst part is we played the Lakers a bunch this season. We
legitimately.
we should have already learned that the first couple times we played them, you know?
Yeah, it's just sad because I would love to feel good about a couple wins. Even though we're rebuilding, it's like the last couple of wins, I would love to feel good. Like, oh, maybe they're improving. Wins like that, dude, I'm just like, okay, well, this is an aberration. This is an outlier. Like, I felt this blowout coming, It's part of it maybe is just they can't play on the road, which, Eric, maybe we haven't talked about this enough. For whatever reason, it feels like Chauncey Billups-led teams on the road have far more of a downturn than normal teams. We saw it in his first year where the Blazers started off like 10-1 at home and 1-10 on the road. Like, for whatever reason, they cannot produce on the road. They can't get up on the road. The only time they have is during that hot start last season where they had wins. Shorthanded win in New Orleans. They had the win in Phoenix off the Grant buzzer beater and the win in Miami off the Hart buzzer beater, right? But like that's it. That's it. Like, they do not get up on the road. At the end of the day, you got to be sharp on the road. You got to be sharper on the road. If you have home court advantage that can play to your hands, you don't have to be as sharp. But on the road, your game plan has to be sharp. There has to be an attention to detail. And you got to execute it. And on the road, we just look completely lost and completely clueless. And our game plans look like ass under Chauncey Billups. So, X's and O's are frustrating. Also, people that are saying Scoot's a bust, Scoot was overhyped, this or that. He's still only 19 years old, and he has a coach that's putting him in a tough position. He's not a one-on-one player. He's being expected to play one-on-one all the time. Hopefully he will become a one-on-one player. There's stuff he needs to improve. But he's in a offensive system that might be the worst for him producing right now. And he's literally only 19.
Almost 20.
Like, he's had some good performances. Last game he was 4 for 4 to start the game. In 8 minutes he had 10 points. Right? Like, but this game he struggled against a bunch of length that he was expected to just drive into? Of course he did. Of course he did. Like, he didn't know what to do. Our veterans don't know what to do against in this offense against a team like this. So I don't understand after today's game coming in being like Scoot's a bust, see, like he sucks.
I don't necessarily think it's just on this game.
But Eric, he's 19 and he's had some good stretches. Like, expectations by now should have been readjusted.
Yeah,
okay?
But I mean, people don't want to readjust expectations on someone we put our whole future into.
I get it, but at some point you got to be real with what's happening. At some point, you got to just view it for what it is. He's 19. He's not as good as people thought.
He's pretty much 20, but
okay, he's literally 19.
Yeah.
He's 19.9 years old. Like, even if he's 20 is still freaking young. He still can't buy a drink. People need to be a little bit more patient, especially given that this offense is doing him no favors. And he's had some stretches where he's looked good in it. And he's had some stretches where he's looked bad. He's inconsistent as a 19, almost 20-year-old. And he has some things that he needs to work on. Guess what? He has a great work ethic. So be a little bit more patient with him because he will work his ass off to become a great player. I have no doubts that he will put in the work. All accounts, he has a great work ethic. Okay? Let him have some time and at least one off season and hopefully a new coach that can put a better offensive system in place before we go around saying he's a bust. Right?
Yeah, I don't like saying he's a bust or whatever, but I do find myself getting concerned a lot when watching him play.
Is this
Like
offense doing him any favors?
No, but
Is
he
he not
also
having good stretches?
has like no feel for the game. I feel like his awareness is off. It's all things he can improve, like we talked about. But I don't know. He seems way more clunkier and not good at basketball than I thought he should be at this point.
He's averaging the most assists per game as a rookie. He's averaging almost 5 assists
I understand
per
that.
game
Like
in 28 minutes in a
gets a
joke
few
of an
passes
offense
off.
without a ton of offensive talent around him, without a ton of spacing. Like I don't know, having no awareness or no feel for the game. I don't understand that.
I mean, I don't know. You have the ball in your hands on offense, you're going to be able to get some passes, and he does have some good passes, and some games better than others. But I don't know. Like, so did Kendall Marshall.
Dude, just
I'm just saying, like, there's lots of players that can. I mean, Skylar Mays averaged 10 assists for us when he started for a 2-week stretch.
when we tanked, yeah.
No, this season.
You said a 2-game stretch?
No, like it was several games. He started several games when.
When did he average a 10-game?
He had several games where he was like getting close to 10 assists or whatever. It's not.
How old is Skylar Mays?
I don't care how old he is. Scoot should be way better than Skylar Mays. If Skylar Mays is 30 or 19,
I do think Scoot is better than Skylar Mays.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, Skylar looked just as good as Scoot when he started and played if not better than Scoot when he was in there. So
I mean, he's 26. He's 26.
I know.
Percentages are about the same. Statistically, on a permanent basis, about the same.
Do you realize we're saying they're about the same as Skylar Mays? Like, that's how bad it is.
He's 19.
I know.
He's 19. He's
it's
improved throughout
though,
the season. He's still going to be inconsistent. If we're going to sit here after... He literally was 4 for 4 last game in 8 minutes. Had 10 points in 8 minutes. But then he goes up against a team like this with a shit ton of length that is just loaded up on him. We do nothing to shift the defense, and he's just expected to drive into it and figure it out. So then he struggles. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, we know we've also seen him start off 4 for 4 and then miss a bunch of shots. So it sucks not being able to see him finish that game. But
yeah, he's inconsistent. But has he improved this season? Generally, yes. He was shooting like 8% after, 5-6 games? He got that up. He's about at 30% right now. He's since that injury? He's like 35% from 3. Okay, that was the biggest worry, right? Was his 3-point shot? He's improved.
It's no longer my biggest worry. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's good that he's shooting decently.
I mean, I don't think he's been doing any favors. I don't think he's expected to drive into the teeth of a defense that's loaded up to stop him, loaded up to rotate to him, and then figure it out. Like, at this point, I'm not going to be too hard on a rookie averaging almost 5 assists a game at 19, almost 20 years of age in that type of offense. I truly think the way Chauncey has this offense set up is making him look worse. Also, if we got out and freaking ran, which I don't think is a Scoop problem, I think he would have a lot of plays and be able to get going, a little bit more rhythm, a little more confidence if he was able to play a little bit more in transition. But we don't run.
Yeah.
Like, it's just all half-court stuff. I mean, yeah, like, he's not as good as I hoped he was going to be this year, but at this point, like, expect the inconsistency. I don't know. I don't understand being so hard after a game like this on him.
I'm not saying hard. I'm saying I'm concerned about him. I don't think he plays well. I don't think his style is good. I don't I see a player that is a long, long way away from just fixing a few things and being good. It's like I see someone who might not even be a decent level NBA player at some point. He's been really, really disappointing in my mind.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I'm not saying I'm like
see.
completely out on him and he's a bust or whatever. I'm just saying I'm concerned that it could head that way.
Yeah, we'll see. I expect him to continue to get better, and the flashes are good considering the offense. So, he has a great work ethic. I'm not worried about him because I think he's the type of guy that struggles his rookie year, just going to motivate him, and it's going to show him what he needs to work on. He's going to get in the gym and he's going to work his ass off.
Yeah, but part of my concern is he's been a pro for 3 years now. Like, if he has this great work ethic, why is he
the G
3
League
years in
Ignite
still?
Really?
No, but
the
I'm
best
just saying.
pro situation.
Absolutely not.
I don't even think it's better at developing players than college. We might as well consider college pros too, consider they get paid and might be a better developmental route than the G League. So, I don't know. I don't think going to the G League was the best thing.
No, absolutely
so, yeah. I mean, just look at Jalen Green right now. G League Ignite does not have a good track record. It's going to be interesting to see how this year's crop of G League Ignite players play in the NBA. But they haven't produced a single star. They haven't. Who's the best player? Kuminga?
I mean, Kuminga hasn't done much either.
I know, but who's the best G League Ignite player?
I mean, it's probably Jalen Green.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. He needs a good NBA coach. He needs a coach that knows how to develop him, but it will also put him in situations where he can actually succeed. Because he's just being expected to play one-on-one right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're using him completely wrong, and his coach sucks. It's too bad because Chauncey, it seems like, is tailor-made for being Scoot's coach. He went through the same struggles as a rookie or a young player. He changed his whole career around. He should be able to know what he can do to help Scoot get better. And I completely agree that I mean, they're doing Scoot no favors. I mean, it's just horrible, but he's also yeah. I mean, he's not helping with how bad his defense is and some of those other things as well. But that's, once again, could be coaching.
Yeah, I mean, he can't get blown by as much as he did by D'Angelo Russell in this game. Not all of D'Angelo Russell's 34 points was on him, but there was a couple times where he just was not sliding his feet well enough. But, that's something that young players will improve, especially him, where he's been called for every single ticky-tack foul. How do you teach a rookie who's been called for literally everything all season long, because NBA refereeing is a joke, to slide and absorb contact with his chest when I think in his mind he is worrying about that being a foul?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so if you're trying to coach him to foul less, right? What's the alternative? He's not going to slide and try and absorb a drive with his chest. He's going to open up a little bit more and players are going to get downhill. Now, what's interesting is this month, Eric, going into this game, 10 games in January, only 19 fouls. That's 1.9 fouls a game. Last month in December, in 13 games, 48 fouls. 3 more games, 29 more fouls. That was 3.5 fouls per game, down to 1.9. So he's cut down on the fouling, but I think the downside of that is he's becoming a little bit more of a turnstile. So that's where, as he gets more respect by refs, and as he gets a little bit more experience, he can learn how to find that balance, find that edge without opening up the door, but not like sliding into guys and fouling, and then getting a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt.
Hopefully. Just long list of stuff he needs to improve on.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. There's a lot of nuances of the game that he has to learn. There's a lot of nuances of the game that he's only going to learn from NBA experience.
Yep.
So,
but I also think throwing him out there when the game plan's terrible, we have nothing to do to help him out, and he's losing his confidence, I think. I don't think that's good either.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. You can tell when he has a little bit more confidence, and I mean, it's just he looks unsure of what to do, and I don't think it's a problem with like not having a feel for the game or not being able to like read a defense. I think there's nothing to read. You know, like when the defense is set up and they're going under you on screens, he needs to get better pulling up from three off of screens, right? Like his 3-point shot has improved, but a lot of it is like standstill stuff where he has time to set up. He's tossing some catch and shoot guys, catch and shoot threes here. What were you gonna say?
I'll say, I mean, let's just say what it is. He's by far got the easiest 3-point shot diet in the NBA.
Yeah, but
like, I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, at least he's not shooting, 5%
on
the easiest shot.
Exactly. It's encouraging that he's improving his 3-point shot. I'm just saying it's all literally no one within 5 feet of him most of the time. Occasionally he has to take one like towards the end of a shot clock with a guy in his face or whatever, but it's almost exclusively wide open kick out threes or whatever. And the defense still is not respecting him at all. And that's been troublesome for him because then he can't drive as easy when they're sagging off him so much.
Yeah. I think that with a little bit more improvement, defenses will have to respect it because you can't just give up, I don't know what he's shooting since coming back from injury, but it's like around 35%, I believe, 34, 35%. Like you get that up to 36, 37%. I mean, you can't let a guy shoot 36, 37% from three, like unguarded. Going into games, you circle that. Dude shooting over 36% from three. It's not, the game plan is not going to be leave him wide open from three all the time. So I think he's close to being somebody you have to respect at least when he has the ball in his hands. The problem is off screens, he's not a pull-up shooter from three. He does not dribble into threes off screens so defenders can go under. He needs to start shooting those. He needs to start reading pick and rolls where every time the defender goes under, he's dribbling straight into a pull-up three. The results might not be good, but it would be good for his development. And telling him just, if he goes under, you're shooting that shot. Where it doesn't, in his mind, it shouldn't even matter if it goes in. Like, he just needs to shoot it. And if the results are bad, the results are bad. But the only way you're going to develop confidence with that shot is by not worrying about the results, simply by taking it. Okay? Now, you got to work on it in the off season, right? He has to work on his shot, maybe tweak a form thing here or there. But the problem is defenders go under, he's not pulling three, and then they get back to the ball, and he's like, what do I do? On pick and rolls. In isolation, he's not that type of player. On pick and rolls, he's having a hard time turning the corner, getting downhill. And the other problem is we are so slow into pick and rolls that help, especially with a long, lengthy team, there's a lot of really good help defense on his drives where the passing choices aren't obvious because defenses are able to see the rotations a mile away because we don't move.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's where I've been most disappointed is his lack of finishing around the rim, even when he does get there, and this complete lack of any kind of rhythm or feel for mid-range shots,
Yeah.
So that's, you say he just needs to improve his shooting or work on coming out the thing, but then he also needs to improve his finishing and mid-range and develop some sort of floater and all this stuff. So like it's pretty much all three levels he has to improve on.
Yeah, I mean, that's normally going to be the case for a rookie. Like, Sharp last year could have said all the same things, right? And Sharp,
Sharp started shooting really well right off the bat from three.
okay, everything but the shooting, but like floater, he finished well last year. Okay, here's my point. If rookie Sharp was in the same situation as Scoot right now in this offense, being asked to do the things that Scoot's supposed to do when he's on the floor, I think Sharp would have looked just as bad.
I think he was kind of in that position, and
Last
he
year?
was shooting. Yeah, because he was playing decent or more minutes than we thought he would.
Yeah, but he wasn't
right
being
off the
asked to
bat.
handle the ball hardly at all.
I mean, Scoot's not really being asked to handle the ball that much.
He's the point guard. He's bringing the ball up, and he
Not
gives
not
up the
as
ball
much
because
as
he's
should.
unsure of what to do. But do you remember at the start of last season when Sharp would just like start to go one-on-one and like dribble the ball off his knee to the defender?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
of
multiple
course.
plays like that. So
I mean, Scoot does that too, but
I know, but like my point is with Sharp, it's like I feel like if Sharp was a rookie this year, he would look about the same as Scoot.
I don't know if Sharp finished this way, but at one point he was leading all rookies in catch and shoot 3-point percentage and up amongst the leaders in the entire NBA.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
for
the
most
that's
of his
the main
rookie
difference.
season.
Yeah,
But that helped him stay on the floor a lot while he struggled with other stuff. But to me, Scoot doesn't have anything you can bank on like that 3-point shooting that Sharp had.
yeah. I mean, but my thing was with Sharp, right? Like, how many of those were open catch and shoot?
I mean, probably a lot of them because they had Dame and Anthony and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and what did he shoot before? What was he shooting before we start tanking from three last year? Like 37%. A lot of open catch and shoot.
Yeah, well, I don't remember what the final thing was, but very deep into last season, he was leading all rookies shooting like 47% on catch and shoot threes. And his percentages were much worse on shooting off the dribble or step backs and things like that. So that made it worse than it was. But if you're strictly looking at catch and shoot threes, I think they were really good last season.
Yeah, he shot 36% from three last season.
Mm-hmm.
He would be getting less catch and shoot threes in this offense without playing off a Dame. Without playing off of Josh Hart even, because Josh Hart could draw defenders and kick, especially bringing the ball up, pushing a little bit in transition. He would have been forced to shoot more threes off the dribble. I think his 3-point percentage would have been worse, instead of 36%. I don't know. I'm just randomly speculating. Probably 34%, right? That is basically what Scoot's shooting since the first 5 games of the season. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, Sharp as a rookie is a better shoot than Scoot. Sharp as a rookie is a better shooter than Scoot is as a rookie. I don't think the gap is as large as some people think, though.
Yeah, maybe. I just see defense is completely unworried about Scoot, even if he has made a couple.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. I don't know. I think about Ant as a rookie. I know Ant had that 37-point game at the end of the year, but like Ant wasn't ready to handle the ball as a rookie, as a 19-year-old.
Yeah, of course.
Like
Yeah.
he wasn't ready.
But
he
he
would have
wasn't
had
a
all the
point
same
guard, really,
turnover
either.
issues. Yeah. Yeah, he's a little bit more of a shooting guard. I just think Ant would have
Same
looked
with
really
CJ.
bad. Mm-hmm.
CJ couldn't even dribble the ball up the court in Summer League without turning it over.
And he was like 22 as a rookie. Right? 22, 21, 22.
Okay.
He,
I did-
multiple years. So that's where my patience with Scoot comes from, is situation, and he's 19. Yeah.
Okay, to Preston and chat, dude. Okay, so do you want me to just say, oh, he's 20, 19, 20, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to bring up any concerns because he's 19. What kind of freaking analysis is that? Okay, at least Torrey, when he says that, like, he provides examples of things he needs to work on to get to where he needs to be. But for you to just say I'm killing the guy for no reason, when I'm just bringing up concerns I have that he needs to improve, and there's a lot of them, that's not necessarily, I'm not killing him. I'm just saying what we're all thinking while watching him. And we can use the young excuse all we want. We can. but he has not been good. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't think any of Eric's concerns are invalid. I just personally, I'm not going to worry given the context that I've provided during this conversation. Because I think a number of other guys that we're high on now as young players, Sharp, Ant, in the same situation, would have looked similarly as rough as Scoot. And I think he's shown enough in terms of flashes, in terms of improving upon things, and he has a really good work ethic that I'm just going to have patience with him. Like I'm gonna trust that he one day will figure it out, and we'll look back and be like, remember when we were all worried about Scoot? I'm not as high on his potential to be a superstar as I was when he came into the league, but in terms of him being like a good NBA player, I am still just as confident. His ceiling is maybe a little lower to me, but I'm not really worried yet. If he looks like this 2 years from now, yeah, I'll be extremely worried. You know what I mean? Because that'll mean he hasn't improved enough. But I expect him to improve a lot over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is it is possible that he's just not that good. They're not the player that we wanted him to be. And I'm not trying to say he will be. I'm just saying it's not, you can't just say that about everyone. They're 19, they're going to get better. I mean, sure, they'll get slightly better, but not, I mean, it's entirely possible that the gap he has to make up to be close or even in the realm of his expectations is much larger than pretty much any player we've seen in a long time coming into the NBA. And that's not something that he can't overcome or get better or ruin that label at some point and make people like me look stupid. It's certainly possible. I'm just saying it's a very large gap between the player he was supposed to be and the player he has been this year and how far he has to be to get to there. And I get worried when a player has to make that big of a jump to get to the point where we all expect him to be.
I think the main thing he needs to get better at is finishing, but a lot of his finishes are tough because the paint is packed. He's shooting 40% from 2, so that has to get better.
Well, I'd love to see him with a true rim running, athletic, lob big threat,
Yeah, and being able to catch the ball and drive on the move, you know what I mean? Like, instead of, it's just, when he has lanes to attack, I think he attacks well and can finish. He's learning nuances of finishing. The last game, okay, you want to talk to somebody in chat?
Yeah, what the hell is he talking about, Preston? Dude, don't be stupid. Where's the Wemby hate? Everybody critiques Scoop, but no Wemby, no Amen Thompson, no Asar, no Cam Wetmore. Like, stop it, bro. What the heck are we even talking about? None of those players play for the Blazers. Wemby's been absolutely incredible the last couple months. What the frick are you talking about, bro? Amen's been hurt. He's barely played, but he plays for the frickin' Rockets. Why do I care how good Amen Thompson's being right now? Asir's on the frickin' Detroit Pistons. I don't care about the Pistons right now. He hasn't been good. The whole team sucked. Cam Whitmore has been pretty good. Like, why? I don't know why you mentioned Cam Whitmore for being the 20th pick. He's been really good when he's gotten a chance to play, and he's gotten a lot more opportunity. And I don't know if you saw Men today, but he started and played meaningful minutes for one of the first times this year, and he had a pretty freaking good game as well. But yeah, I don't know what the point is of bringing up other players. Like, if you want to talk about the whole rookie class, I'll tell you which ones I'm concerned about and which ones I'm not if you want to talk about that. But for right now, we're talking about Scoot because he's a freaking Portland Trailblazers, and this is the Blazers Uprise postgame show.
This is entertaining. Yeah, like I forgot what I was gonna say. I don't remember what I was gonna say. All right, chat. Just take a breath. Don't go after anyone. Okay, I remembered what I was gonna say. Scoot just has to learn nuances. He has to learn angles. He, honestly, it might serve him well to actually lose a little bit of muscle, lose a little bit of weight, might help him be more explosive. He has to learn how to finish off 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
He has to improve things with his footwork, improve things with his pace. We've seen flashes of him improving things with his pace. I think he's still, like, he's playing under a lot more control. The problem isn't what it was at the start of the season where he was out of control. I don't think it's an issue with him being out of control. For the most part, there's moments for sure where he's out of control, but for the most part, I don't think it's an issue with him being out of control. Okay, so that's a plus. That's some improvement. But a lot of times when he has a lane to the rim, there's some sort of help side defender that's rotating in time because teams can set their help side defense against Portland. And he's struggling to figure out ways to score around them. Yeah. And that's something that he just has to learn. Like, he had that 2-foot finish where he went off 2 feet, jumped into the body of the shot blocker against Dallas, and finished with his right hand. That was a promising finish because as a smaller guard, you got to be able to neutralize shot blockers. A great way to do that on the drive is to go off 2 feet for balance and jump into the shot blocker's chest to shield the ball and then finish. And you jump into the shot blocker's chest, the other thing it does is gives you an angle to finish compared to jumping away from the rim. So that finish from Scoot last game against Dallas, last game Scoot looked confident. That finish looked good. He also had that super explosive finger roll over Miles Turner. That was good, you know, just going up quick and getting into the air first, right? So last game looked pretty good. This game, whole offense looked a mess. Didn't look that great. But that's where it's like, I've sat here all season and before the season and said, this is what I think Scoot needs to improve. This is what I'm looking for. He's shown flashes of everything occasionally, or maybe rarely, but he's shown a flash here or there where it's like, okay, he needs to do more of that. Mm-hmm. And that's where I don't end up in this thought process where it's like, yeah, he's not capable of doing that. I just think he needs to learn how to know what to do in certain situations consistently. And that's just where experience comes in. That's where reps comes in. And that's where he needs to, you know, this offseason, he needs to work on finishing off 2 feet, jumping into the chest of a shot blocker off 2 feet, neutralizing the shot blocker, etc. Like, there's a lot of things for him to work on, a lot of things for him to get better on. But I don't think it comes from a place where he's, like, incapable of doing things that he needs to do to become a really good NBA player. I just think it's piecing it all together on a consistent basis, which might take a couple years. But as long as he knows what he needs to work on, he has a good work ethic, and then hopefully in the future we have a new coach that can put him in a little easier, better situation, maybe build his confidence for once, then you're going to start to see a good NBA player.
Yeah, and to be crystal clear, I am not saying he is incapable of ever being good or won't be good or whatever. I'm just saying I'm concerned that he doesn't. Okay, there's a big difference between that. I know people aren't going to listen to me say that, but whatever. I said it.
Yep. Anyway, Preston, you're good, bro. You're good, bro. What were you going to say?
I do. Okay, so, like, you know, one of the critiques that even you've had him is up until he started changing a little bit, was the one speed thing, right? Like, he was always playing at one speed. But I'm worried about his athleticism. I don't see a lot of explosiveness. Like, every once in a while you see it, but for the most part, he hasn't looked like a dominant athletic specimen out there either, despite going at that one speed. So yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah, he's just. It's harder in the NBA when guys are bigger and you're a 6'2" guard. Even if you are super explosive jumping around the rim, like, guys can easily meet you at that level. So I don't know. Chat, can you chill, please? Can you just chill? Don't turn chat into a 10v1
Well,
argument.
he's telling everyone to eat a D. So
I didn't see that. So
yeah.
yeah. And then Preston, don't tell people to eat a D. That's kind of rude. Chat, don't be rude to Preston. Just chill. Just relax. Just relax.
You're not being very respectful, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, whatever. I'm not going to get into it more. Just chill. Just relax. Like, nothing is ever personal in here unless people make it personal. It's fine. Like, anyway. Anything else on Scoot?
No, just gotta keep plugging along.
Yeah. Yep. What other players you want to discuss?
I thought Jabari still continued to look pretty solid. Um, not doing anything to really mess up out there, hustling around. One of the few guys that seems to mix it up there, like isn't afraid to be a little physical and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I thought he's continued to look respectable.
Yeah, no, he's been good in the starting role. Bumping Jeremy down to the 3. Jabari just gives consistent effort. He gives the best, most consistent effort out of anyone on the team, I think. He just consistently plays hard, and he's strong, so he's actually able to like match physicality. Like, our most physical guard and our most physical front court player were the 2 players that I think played the best in this game. That shouldn't really be surprising, Eric.
Right.
Because the Lakers are a physical team. They were the only 2 players to match it.
Yeah.
And they're 2 of the strongest players on this team, so I guess we got to get in the freaking weight room. Duop Breath had a good game off the bench, 16 points, 6 for 9, 2 for 4. But, like, Simons had a good game.
Offensively.
Yeah, like, they made shots. You know what I mean?
Outside
of just
one of the worst
purely making shots.
games I've ever seen in the first half.
Yeah. Outside of just purely making shots, like, Brogdon and Brogdon and Jabari were the best players, and that's because they match the physicality.
I wonder how much the trade deadline is affecting just the overall feel of the team. Like, because you'd think coming off of 2 wins, that'd be, I don't know, a lot more connected, a lot more, I don't know, just effort-wise should have been a lot better tonight. I don't know. Game plan should have been better.
Yep. Shout out Daniel G, $5 donation, says, I still enjoy these games and love watching the young players. What will burn me out is if we don't get rid of at least 2 veterans. Go Blazers. Thank you, Daniel G, for the $5 donation. Yeah. If we only trade Brogdon, it's going to be a buzzkill, but at least we traded Brogdon. And hopefully he's playing his way into more trade value with games like these. I don't think it's really going to change between now and then, but who knows? I mean, 23, 9, and 7 on 8 for 17. 3 for 4 from 3. He's been looking pretty good lately. Anyway, bro, please, I might put you in a 5-minute timeout just so you can relax and chat can stop going at you, bro. Just stop. Just stop with the back and forth, bro. Please. I've stood up for you, and yeah, just relax. I don't know why Taylor wants you to FaceTime him. What's good? Jesus. Anyway, Eric, back to what I was saying. Trade Brogdon, trade Jeremy, trade Thibault, cap dump Payton if you can. That's my trade deadline wishes. Do you agree with all those?
I mean, yeah, of course. We're in full agreement there.
Cool. Chad, do you guys agree?
Hopefully it happens.
Taylor says, bro, what? I did not want him to FaceTime me. Where did that come from? I have no idea. I guess he wants you to FaceTime him. I don't know what we're talking about, bro. I don't know where... We are officially off the rails. Made it an hour and 10 minutes into the stream, officially off the rails. You heard anything new? You sensing anything new? What does the crystal ball say, Eric?
I continue to hear the same thing over and over that I've already said. So.
Just that they love Grant, they love Grant, they love Grant.
Yep.
Frustrating. Grant today, Eric, you know what's funny is he starts at small forward and like has 2 good games, and people take that as irrefutable proof that he's automatically a small forward instead of a power forward, because like last game, he got a bunch of buckets on Pascal Siakam as the small forward, which if you actually think about it, doesn't really make sense because Pascal Siakam's a power forward. And Jeremy Grant has had big scoring games like he did last game in a bunch of games as the power forward. So I wasn't going to like be too harsh on that narrative, but I thought that narrative was actually kind of ridiculous after a couple good games where he started next to Jabari to sit here and say he's better as the small forward, because a lot of times the small forward and power forward position, there's not really much difference between the two. Like the only thing you could say is against smaller lineups, like he can attack smaller guys and have good games off that. Obviously in this game against a big lineup, wasn't able to have the same success because he was brutal. 6 for 15, 0 for 3 from 3. Not an efficient night. Took some bad shots. Took a lot of contested jumpers.
We need him to, though.
Yeah, we need him to. But I don't know. What do you think of his game tonight?
Yeah, I don't think it was great, and this isn't even his fault, but what the heck are we doing having him guard D'Angelo Russell and having our guards on their bigger guys? Like, it's just completely messed up game plan, dude. It's so frustrating.
Yep, game plan was awful. Jeremy was bad. 8 and 3 for 7, 4 boards in 22 minutes. Just not impactful at all. At all, man. At least he dunked the ball twice. Like,
yeah.
That was a good lob pass from Ant on the first one. I wish we had more pick and roll lob plays like that.
In traffic, too, yeah.
Yeah, that was impressive. He got up for that, but, I mean, the first defensive play of the second half, shot goes up. He just turns around. Instead of going towards his man to box out, who's like near the 3-point line, he turns around and just starts walking towards the rim, and the ball comes off front rim right over his head, right to his man. And then later on in the possession, he's on the perimeter and a shot goes up, and instead of like... And he just sits there and watches. It's like, okay, now you don't get closer to the rim when the shot goes up, when you're on the 3-point line, but when you're closer to the rim, you walk under it so it goes over your head. Like, he literally just sat on the perimeter while Malcolm Brogdon tried to battle for a rebound with Rui Hachimura, and it's just like, dude, position yourself for a rebound. Like, why are you watching when you're that far away? That's the time you should be walking towards the rim. But the first play, if your guy's like 17 feet away from the rim, that's when you kind of get a body on him so the ball can bounce in front of you.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Like, he just does not position well for rebounds. Grant, 3 rebounds in 33 minutes. He does not position well for rebounds. It gets super frustrating watching those guys rebound. I'm kind of tired of it, but Jabari makes up for a lot of it. So,
yeah, one of those rebounds by Grant was a block shot that just landed right in his arms by Reith, and then another one was one that went off the back of the rim, and he was just standing around the free throw line. It just happened to bounce right into his chest.
Yep, that's basically how he has to get his rebounds. You know, I would love to see him sky for a rebound. What's the highest he's ever jumped for a rebound?
I mean, occasionally he gets in there and jumps, but I don't know. With how lengthy and athletic he can be at times, it's so frustrating that he's not a good rebounder.
It's just a lack of wanting to rebound. It's a lack of That's the thing when it's like, good veteran mentor, blah, blah, blah. It's like, a lot of times it feels like he doesn't want to do the little things or the dirty work. Is that really a good veteran mentor? Like, he just gets the ball and he scores. Cool. What, he's going to teach Jabari to be as athletic as he is off the dribble and finish like he does? You know, like, the thing is, Jabari is improved finishing because he started using his body and finishing below the rim. They are completely different types of finishers. Like, everybody always loves to bring up, like, Jeremy Grant's a good veteran mentor for these young guys, and it's like, okay, well, since you know so much about how good of a mentor he is, what is he teaching them?
Yeah.
No answer. You know, like, okay. It's just something that you can say that you want to keep Grant for that I can't disprove with my eyes. Like, all right. So.
Yep. So I respect Anthony Lacuma a lot, and I've seen this from several other people in chat tonight. Would you be looking to move on from Ant with his struggles lately?
Not because of his struggles lately. I want to see Ant under a better coach. I want to see Ant back next year under a better coach. With his struggles lately, what are you even going to get for him on the trade market? Are you really going to trade him for a first-round pick? Like 2 first-round picks? Really? Grant is the guy we should be trading for 2 first-round picks simply because he is about to turn 30. Okay? Ant is 24, barely 24. Ant fits a future timeline. Okay? Ant's not a player who's going to be declining in 2 years. So, regardless of your opinion on Ant, it doesn't really make sense to trade him. You're not selling high on him like you would be with Grant. I don't think Ant is any worse than Grant is right now. I think the problem is Ant's being expected to create off the dribble against defenses that are double teaming him and or completely loaded up to stop his drives. And all his threes are like insanely, ridiculously tough. The one open catch-and-shoot 3 he got in this game was nothing but the bottom of the net. No surprise. Like, I want to see him under a better coach that utilizes him more off curls, off screens. With him and Sharp healthy, we should be running the most curls in the league.
Yeah.
And it's like occasionally we will for Sharp, and they'll look really good. Like we won a game earlier in the year by just running curls for Sharp. But we don't do it enough. So I would love to see Ant under a better coach in more of a motion offense because I think that's where he'd really shine through, not this stagnant crap. So.
Yeah, so there's 2 things on Ant. He's been bad. There's no doubt about that outside of a game or 2. But we also know over the past few weeks, he's been on the injury report, then healthy, then on the injury report, and then healthy, then on the injury report 3 separate times for an illness. And I don't know if he's trying to play through something or if it's multiple things happening and he keeps getting sick again and then fine and then sick again, or if maybe it's like pneumonia or something that lasts a while. But I don't know. Like I'm not going to destroy a guy over a stretch that he's been not himself over. So we'll see if that improves if he gets healthy at some point and doesn't have any kind of illness concerns anymore. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I don't think people realize how invaluable it is to have a player that is being double teamed 5 feet above the 3-point line. There aren't many players in the league that get that sort of treatment. And other teams know if they take Anthony out of the lineup because he's the only one that can really create on his own outside of Jeremy Grant if he's hitting jumpers over someone, you know. He's the only one you have to take out. You can let Jeremy get his for the most part. But if you stop Ant, Like you stop this offense because we did nothing to when that wasn't working tonight. What did we do to fix it? We didn't use Scoot a different way. We didn't use Aiton at all. So you coaches, if good coaches at least, would kill to have players that are so good at creating shots that the other team feels like they have to double team him every freaking possession. And it's the same thing we talked about when we had Melo, even though he was old and not efficient or whatever, for some reason he would still get double teamed way more than he should, right? And we didn't really take advantage of that. We just let him shoot over the double team or whatever. So I don't know. But do we try running Ant off ball and letting someone else run the show and have him come off of screens and run like elevator screens and crap like that we talked about doing with Dame for years? I don't see us doing very much of that kind of stuff. So I don't understand. We've seen how good he can be. Get him some help, just like you need to get Dame some help. Get him some freaking spacing. Get him a big that can roll like Ayton did that one time in this game. Get him a good screener because we don't have one on this team really. And just like I don't know, just get him some good players. And if you have some good defenders too, like his defense doesn't look as bad, I don't think. But yeah,
defensively he's making the same mistakes that basically everybody else on the roster are making.
Yeah,
off ball especially. The best version of Simons is a number 2. Like right now, he's kind of the number 1 on a bad team, and I think that's part of the reason why defenses are giving him so much attention, that he's like struggling to score through. Let
me just talk about the attention for a second. He's outside of tonight, in terms of offense and getting the ball to the roll man, I feel like he's been pretty good considering this is the first time in his career he's had to deal with those defensive coverages. And so, like, I think there's still a lot of room for him to improve once he gets used to the kind of coverages he's seeing.
Yeah. So what's one thing that Simons, Sharp, and Scoot are all struggling with that Sharp didn't struggle with last year, and Simons didn't struggle with as much last year? Finishing at the rim. That is something that's been a struggle for all 3 of our young guards. Sharp had it easier. He didn't have to self-create as much. That was part of it. But even Anthony was better inside the arc last year than he has been this year. Anthony's shooting 38% from 3. So even on his ridiculously tough 3-point shot diet, he's been fine, right? But finishing at the rim, his 2-point percentage is 45% this year. Last year was 53%. Now, positive, he's getting to the line 4.7 times per game, up from 2.9 last year. So he's getting to the line a lot more, almost double the rate. Okay, so he's figured out how to draw fouls. He's using his body a little bit more. But when you see all 3 of those guys struggling to finish, when you see how stagnant our offense is without somebody like a Dame to take some attention off of these guys, it's like, man, like a lot of times when they're trying to finish around the rim, they're just getting swarmed. They're just getting absolutely swarmed. And I think it's contributing to the finishing struggles for all 3 players. Okay? So I think some of that is situational with Ant. If Ant was still shooting 53% from 2, he'd probably be averaging a couple more points per game. He'd be averaging 25 and 5. You know what I mean? Right now he's averaging 23 and 5. And part of it is he's not finishing well enough around the rim. He's shooting 10 shots from 2 a game, making 4.5%. That's 45% from 2. He should be 53 to 55%. That's like an extra bucket a game. Okay. That's the biggest problem right now, is just his struggles finishing the ball. But he's also being asked to be the number 1 when on a winning team, he's probably a number 2. On a contending team, he isn't the number 1 guy. Maybe one day, hopefully, he could be that. But like right now, he doesn't have the capability of like orchestrating the entire offense against this attention, against the defense loaded up to him. You know, you look at guys like Luka, SGA. That's what makes them so special, is they'll be guarded like Ant has been guarded this year, but they'll still get their 30 points per game. They'll get their 6 assists. They'll be efficient. They'll finish around the rim, etc. But that's why they're top 10 players in the league. So if Anthony Simons isn't a top 10 player in the league, that doesn't mean he's a problem, and that doesn't mean that he's somebody the Blazers got to get rid of. There's a lot of really good players, even stars in the league, that I don't think are number 1 players on contending teams. I think Jalen Brunson is a guy that isn't a number 1 option on a contending team. Some people will disagree with me on that, but I think he's a great number 2 option on a contending team. Now, if you have the perfect team around him, maybe he can be the number 1, but you have to have the perfect team around him. Okay? Like, I don't think New York, as built, is beating Boston or Milwaukee. Maybe if they add Brogdon or somebody, you know, they can have such a good bench and OG defensively, and if Randall plays his ass off and kind of plays close to a number 1, then maybe. But that's the thing, is he doesn't have to be the guy to be really good. And I feel like people look at it like either he's the guy or he's not, right? Or he's the answer or he's not the answer, and it's like all these cliches, which doesn't really encapsulate what Anthony Simons is. Anthony Simons is a really good shooter, okay? He can drive, he can attack, but the best version of him is probably in some sort of hybrid role as a number 2, where he's playing off a number 1, getting quality 3-point looks off a number 1, being able to attack closeouts off a number 1, being able to actually get some space, running off curls, running off screens, with whoever the number 1 option is initiating some things or on the other side of the floor, and him being able to get higher quality shots than he's getting right now, because of the presence of an even better player next to him. But then, when he needs to take over, then he can, you know? Then he can run pick and roll. Then he can attack off the dribble. He can create shots off the dribble. Without maybe getting the attention that he's getting right now, because he has somebody else on the court that's also really, really, really good. So that is the best version of Anthony Simons, in my opinion. The problem is right now he's being pigeonholed into a number 1, and he's struggling to finish around the rim, just like all of our young guards are.
Yeah, like Stanley says, like Maxey on the Sixers.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, if like he was on Boston, like we would have traded him to Boston, he was with Tatum. Mm-hmm. Like I think he's like awesome right now, you know. Yeah. He's been pretty good. But I don't know. I completely agree with that. I don't understand why we have to say it. Like, I mean, hopefully we have a number 1 at some point between Scoot, Sharp, and Ant-Free, because we're in trouble if none of those guys are. But like, I don't know why we have to determine that right this second, whether they are or aren't. I don't know. Yep. Most guys aren't a number one guy, and that's all right. He's not on a max contract or anything, so like he's not being paid to be a number 1 guy. I don't understand why we have to say that like it's a negative thing. Like he's not a number 1. He's not the number 1 on a championship team. Yeah, so like 99.9% of the league isn't a number 1 on a championship team.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like if Tyrese Maxey was here, and I think Maxey's a better player than Simons, but I think there's close enough where if Tyrese Maxey was here, people would be saying all the same stuff about him, given what his play would be in this situation. And you'd have the people like the RNW3 guy in chat that would come in here and say, Maxey's a 6th man on a contender. But right now, Maxey's the number 2 on a contender.
He just says Ant does not impact the game in enough ways to be a high-value starter. How is a whole defense taking 2 out of their 5 players every play for an entire game now for weeks not impacting the game? How is that not impactful, RWNW3? Like, do you just not watch the games? You just look at the box score?
He just says things.
It literally is the most impactful thing you can do. You attract a whole defender, so one of your players, out of your 5, there's 4 other players. You have a 4-on-3 advantage every time down the court. How is that his fault that that's not impactful? That should be the easiest way to impact the game if you have a player getting that kind of attention on defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's struggling to finish. If he wasn't struggling to finish, if he was in a situation where defenses weren't able to load up at the rim so much, he'd be averaging 25 and 5 efficiently.
Okay.
But it's like so are these same people saying like Jalen Brunson doesn't impact the game in enough ways to be more than just a sixth man, like Tyrese Maxey, like, you know what I mean? Because it's not like those guys' production is, at least statistically, all that much greater.
Okay.
And Anthony Simons is being put in a position, in my opinion, to struggle. So I don't really understand the comment.
And let me say this. Okay. He can't be the number one. Okay, sure. I agree with you, especially if he's playing with the team he's on and has the coach he's on. But if you take any player that gets that much defensive attention, like Dame last year, Ant this year, whoever the case is, Luka, whoever, okay, and say, well, they can't do that on a number one team because they can't be the number one on a contender because they're not impacting the game. Well, what happens if you put them in the number two and all of a sudden they don't get any of that attention? All those guys are going to freaking kill that coverage, right?
Yeah.
And maybe not, Dame struggling at times to fit in, and, it's a new thing, and he's getting older, so it's not like he's 24 like Anthony is. But think of it this way. Anthony's getting doubled all the time, okay? What do you think would happen if the Blazers either draft someone or Scoot becomes the guy he's supposed to be or Sharp becomes the guy you're supposed to be, and all of a sudden Anthony can't be double teamed because we have another player on this team that's better than him or just as good as him, and all of a sudden Anthony goes from seeing double teams for 2 years, 2 years from now, to him and like Cooper Flagg is so good that Anthony can't be double teamed because Cooper would kill him, and then Anthony just goes the frick off. You don't think he would be really good on a championship team as like a third or fourth option, receiving no defensive game plan attention as the main guys do? Like, that's just crazy talk, man. Like, you don't get that kind of attention unless you're really impactful.
Yeah, I mean, the defenses respect him. Why don't you? It's funny because Michael Porter Jr. was a starter on a championship team last year, playing 29 minutes a game, averaging 1 assist, being a, at best, mediocre defender, just like Simons. Mm-hmm. Like, rebounding for his position, mediocre. Like 5.5, like, okay, like, that's solid, that's fine, whatever. But, like, legitimately, the only thing he does impactfully is shoot jumpers. But he was a starter on a championship team. Okay? People just say things when it comes to Simons and it drives me crazy. Like, there's no way that Simons is not is incapable of being a starter on a championship team. You're suggesting that he would not be a top 5 player on a contender? Really? Really? But you know what it is, Eric? It's, oh, well, he doesn't defend well enough, and his playmaking just... He's averaging 5 assists a game. Like, he's a combo guard. Like, that's kind of what you expect out of a combo guard. Maxey got his assists up to almost 7, but he's playing next to Embiid. I bet if Ant had Embiid next to him, Ant could also average 7 assists. And would have an easier time
like
scoring.
4 or 5 a game just by dribbling the ball up and passing it to Embiid and him taking 2 dribbles and scoring.
Yeah, like legitimately, I do think Maxey is slightly better than Simons, but I don't think there's really any gap. But Maxey's the number 2 on a contender, and Ant can't even start for a contender, according to some people. That's the thing, is they don't hold the same harsh logic towards other guards that are actually starting for contending teams.
Mm-hmm. Well, also our team assist rate isn't good, so like we don't do anything to do that. Did we not see how the Lakers guard cooked us tonight? Agreed he'd be good, but I believe contending teams would rather have a player like Hart or Drew Holiday. Anthony was not guarding the Laker guards.
What did you not see us switching?
You didn't watch the game, dude. We started Jeremy Grant on D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell cooked Jeremy Grant. He did not cook Anthony Simons.
And then Scoot came in and D'Angelo Russell cooked Scoot. Yeah. And we switched.
I would love. I've been saying this for years, Tori. You know this. I want them to just challenge Anthony, put him on D'Angelo Russell, put him on the point guard, put him on the other team's best perimeter offensive player, and just let him take his lumps, because at least then we have our help defenders, and Anthony's not then the help defender, and then everyone's like, see, he sucks at defense because LeBron dunked on him. Like, yeah, no crap.
There's a dude named Ant is Jordan who doesn't like Ant, which doesn't make sense. He said Torrey would hype up dog shit if it had a Blazers logo on it, LMAO. So you're saying I'm too positive? Let's go. Finally, Eric, somebody has said I'm too positive. I'll take it. Appreciate it.
Don't freaking watch games, man.
I will take it. Cool, I'm too positive. All right, my bad. Sorry. And then the same dude's just going to throw a bunch of random names, like any two guard is exactly the same as every other two guard. Oh, my goodness.
Something Gregory Dunn said earlier, you can't have Ant here for the other guys to develop. Sharp's ideal position is the 2 and Scoot the 1. So you need to have that backcourt to see what you have and for both to develop.
I don't...
I mean, right now we don't know if Scoot is the
defensively we defend most of the time. Like, positions aren't a thing anyways because we switch into mismatches. So it's all about the offensive end then, if we're just going to play this crappy ass switching defense and or just let everybody get screened out of plays. Like, honestly, a bigger 3 posting up Sharp at the 3 might be a better option for our defense to try and deal with than pick and rolls, given the way we guard pick and rolls.
How many times are you going to encounter that problem, though?
Yeah, exactly. Like
there aren't that many teams that post up threes. Like, you know what I mean?
We switch Ant onto LeBron anyway, you know? So it's like we already switch into those matchups anyway. Like, if we're going to switch, we might as well try and have an advantage on the other end of the floor, right? So at the end, it just becomes, where do these guys get their touches and their shots from? And what are they responsible for doing? And right now, the system is just stand around if you have the ball, and if you have the ball, go downhill at the defense, either off of pick and roll or isolation, and just try to make something happen. It doesn't matter if we have only Ant in the game, or if we have Ant and Scoot, or if we have Ant, Scoot, and Sharp in the game. Like, So I think the positional thing gets a little bit overrated compared to just analyzing what's going on a possession-by-possession basis. So I don't really subscribe to the thinking that Ant is going to get in the way of the development of the other two, because I think Ant can play off the other two. I think Sharp can play off the other two. I think Scoot is better driving when he gets the ball swung to him and he can, like, run into the catch and go downhill. Yeah. Like, his drives are better when they come from him being off ball than on the ball right now. So I don't subscribe to that line of thinking.
And once again, you can play them all 36 minutes, and that means Sharp only has to play 12 minutes at the 3. It's not hurting him to play 2/3 of his minute at 2 and 1/3 at 3. He plays way more than that. Even in the games that Anthony missed this year, he played more minutes at the 3 than 12 minutes a game. So it's not hurting anyone's development. And like, let's just be real. Anthony at his worst this year has still been better than both Scoot and Sharp have been pretty much the entire season. And I know he's older, so he should be. I'm not saying I am saying that he will be long term or whatever. But we know that Anthony is a good player. We do not yet know if Sharp and Scoot will ever be consistent enough to be as good as Anthony is. So,
And
like, you're just guessing that we need to have him gone to improve uh, Scoot and Sharp. They might not ever be what Anthony is.
yeah. Yeah, and these are all the problems why we are not close to actually contending and why we should trade Grant, by the way, because it's going to be multiple years to shake things out. But he says, and that's fair, I'm just sharing what I see and think, disagree, but that's fine. Yeah, absolutely fine. Like if you see something during a game and you see it differently than us, but you're actually basing stuff off like what you see, and that's fine. It's just when people come in here and sit like are trying to make Ant out like he's not good, and then sit here and say the Lakers guards cooked us tonight. D'Angelo had 34 or whatever, as like a criticism towards Ant when Jeremy Grant was on D'Angelo Russell and then Scoot Henderson was on D'Angelo Russell, and we switched a bunch of other random players onto D'Angelo Russell that were not Anthony Simons. That's when it's like, dude, that's when it comes across as you're just trying to justify the opinion that you have instead of actually watching what's happening and basing your opinion off of that. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between the two. I always try and go into games fresh mind, base all of my opinions based on what I see within a game. That's why we do post-game shows after every game, and we're able to sit here and talk for a long time in the middle of a year where we're 12-30. So we are. This stream has flown by. We are an hour and 40 minutes into this stream.
And here's the thing. This is why. Okay, I said what I said about Scoot earlier, but this should be given him. I should be giving him some leeway too. We've talked about this multiple times. We do not have the right front court for those players. Mm-hmm. It's not the right one now. It's not the right one for the future. None of these guys, outside of maybe Jabari and Tumani being rotation guys, probably seventh or eighth guys on a really good team. The outside of that, they don't have the right players that maximize their strengths. It's just a lot of ISO one-on-one. Your turn to shoot. I want you to force shots with Anthony and Grant and Brogdon. And so, like, none of these guys are the correct mix. We've talked about this the entire process since Dame requested out, that if you're going to build around this backcourt, you have to put the right 4 and 5 at least around them. And I do not think those players are on the roster yet. And until we get them, it's really hard for me to blame the guards for what I think is both a coaching and a roster issue at the same time. I know, shocking, you can blame both. It's okay. You don't have to pick one or the other. But I think I believe that this is why I want to trade everyone, because I think we need to try and find the right pieces and see what fits best around those players, what style of players they can fit best with. And until we move on from certain players that we know already aren't in terms of winning, I don't see how we can judge them fully on if it can work or not, keeping Sharp playing some minutes at the 3 and Anthony and Scoot playing together. And I actually think Anthony and Sharp, when they truly play together and have gotten big minutes, I think it looks pretty good. And it's also left me wondering what would have happened if we just built around those two as the starting backcourt. But, I mean, Scoot's not going anywhere either, so we need to find a way to make it work for right now. And I don't think just keeping the roster together and letting them play it out is the right move long term.
Yeah. And Gregory in chat says, agreed, so ideally would love Scoot, Sharp backcourt, and get frontcourt talent with Grant and Brogdon trades. The problem is I don't think you're going to get enough back for Ant to justify giving him up, because I think for whatever reason, I don't think he has a ton of trade value right now. And I think if you had him in the right situation, in the right system, he would look a lot more impressive. And it would kind of be like trading Tyrese Maxey like 2 years ago in a way. Where like Tyrese Maxey right now would have a lot more trade value and has a lot more value to the 76ers than they would have got back for him in a trade even last year or the year before. So you're basically in a way selling low on Ant in that equation, and I think the better move is just to hang on to him and replace Chauncey next year and actually get a coach that'll put in something other than a bottom 5 system, as Dallas said in chat. Which I fully agree with. It's a bottom 5 system. It might be the worst offensive system in the league right now. And I mean, we're the worst offense in the league still, I think. Let me look at dunksandthrees.com. Let's see. What's our adjusted offensive rating, Eric? Yep, it's dead last. It's 30.
I mean, our non-adjusted was dead last, so
we are a full 1.1 points behind an adjusted offensive rating, behind the next worst team, which is Memphis, who has been decimated by injuries. We are 1.6 points behind Charlotte, in terms of offensive rating. And they've had LaMelo hurt for a big portion of the year. We don't have worse offensive talent than Charlotte. Freaking Charlotte, dude, come on. Doesn't make sense. And they got Steve Clifford. I've never liked Steve. I don't think Steve Clifford's a good coach. I've never liked Steve Clifford as a coach. People are like, oh, we'd beat Detroit, if we traded Graham, blah, blah, blah. Our offense is already worse than Detroit's. Detroit's adjusted offensive rating, 111.3, Eric, which is 2.7 points better than ours per 100. The thing is, their adjusted defensive rating is dead last.
Mm-hmm.
But what's funny is that there's a adjusted net rating which combines the two. We have the third worst in the league at minus 8.7. Detroit has the second worst in the league at minus 9. Basically, we are Detroit, but we found a way to win a few more games than them.
Mm-hmm.
But statistically, as a team, we are Detroit. It should not be the case with the offensive talent that we have on this team, but sadly it is. So,
great point, Dallas in chat. We also haven't seen Scoot, Simon, and Sharp start together or even play together that much. So how do we know it can't work when we haven't even seen it on the court?
Yeah. Gregory says because they play the same positions. Scoot's a point, Sharp's a wing. They don't play the same position. I think Ant can play the 1 or the 2. Sharp can play the 2 or the 3. Scoot's a 1. So you start Scoot at the 1, Ant at the 2, Sharp at the 3. Defensively, they don't respect positions anyway. Systematically.
And like I said, we need a 4 and 5 that maximizes those threes weaknesses. And
yeah, it's not a clean fit by any means, but I mean, Ant is best as a 1. Here's the thing. It doesn't have to remain where one guy's the 1 on every possession.
Yeah.
And I think both Ant and Scoot can play off the ball. I think Scoot is more like a catch the ball and slash compared to a catch and shoot off ball guy. But I think if you actually had a motion offense that was utilizing him off cuts, back screens, etc., like getting him moving, I actually think you'd have an easier time right now compared to having to square isolation. So I think positions are a lot more fluid than people give them respect for. I don't think that there's any problem offensively with that trio if they're in a good offensive system. I think the question becomes defensively. If you're actually running legitimate defensive stuff, is Sharp not able to hold his own against small forwards, right? And is the combination of the 3 not good defensively enough? Okay, but that's where I want to see how Scoot develops defensively. I want to challenge Ant more, and I want to see how Sharp develops defensively. And then if you get a good defensive 4 or 5, you'd have to have a really good defensive 4 and 5 with that 3-man trio. But that's where you see if you can get an Alex Sarr, okay? Like in this year's draft, that dude would be a godsend for us defensively. And then you see what other front court defensive stalwart you can pair next to Alex Sarr, and I think that team has a chance to be good enough on both sides of the ball to maybe make some noise. But then you just continue to develop Ant, get him in a better offensive system where he'll put up better numbers, look a little bit better, and then he's going to have more trade value, and then you wouldn't be selling low. So then if you want to trade him, then it makes sense to. but it's not a situation where we should trade him now. You're selling low. It's the opposite of Grant. You're selling low on a young guy compared to selling high on a guy that's about to turn 30.
So. Yep.
Anyway, once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the stream. They're still running their Super Bowl giveaway, which ends on the 25th, which is Thursday. They're actually giving away Super Bowl tickets. I want one of you guys to win the Super Bowl tickets. Here's how you enter. You place a bet on any NFL line and share your bet slip on X/Twitter, minimum of $25. NFC and AFC championships are next Sunday, so it'd have to be one of those two games, but you can get in a bet on them by the end of Thursday, and you'll be entered if you share that bet slip on Twitter. And then you tag the official BetUS account as shown here and the friend that you'd invite to the Super Bowl to join you, and you use the hashtag BetUSLVIII. That's all you have to do to enter to win Super Bowl tickets to this year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas, a.k.a. Eric's favorite city. And maybe you can see our Niners hopefully playing in the Super Bowl. Eric wants you to tag him if you don't have a friend in mind, because Eric wants to go. So that's how you can enter to win Super Bowl tickets with BetUS. And then if you do indeed sign up with BetUS, make sure to use our link in the description box below, as it will give you 125% deposit match. That means with a $100 deposit, you get $125 on top of that deposit. So that's a total of $225 you get with a simple $100 deposit by using our link in the description box below with BetUS. They are reliable, secure, have 24/7 customer service, 24-hour payouts. Really good sportsbook over there, so check them out and enter to win those Super Bowl tickets.
Yep. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.
But please enter. Support them. They've been a good sponsor.
Yeah, great sponsor. Great sponsor. I actually talk with them pretty regularly, because they are a good sponsor with Hog Media, which is the creator network that I help run. So yeah, I've been working very closely with them. They've been great. So let's wrap up the stream with some Tankathon, Eric.
Yeah, let's do.
Actually, let me make sure I got the scene set up, because it's been a minute since we've done one of these, because we won 2 games in a row. That is the positive of today. We get to do Tankathon because we lost. That's always the positive in every single loss. Let me make sure your webcam's going to show up. I got to switch this, I guess. Okay. So Blazers still 5th best odds. They're kind of stuck. They're 2 games away from Charlotte in 4th, 3 games away from Memphis in 6th, so they got a cushion on either side of them right now. You got Golden State, who have had a couple games postponed, sitting there at 10th, 1 game away from 9th, 1 game away from 11th, which is Houston. Houston started to struggle. Lots of picks being traded. Very interesting draft picture here, Eric. Portland also has currently the 34th and the 39th picks. That's second-round picks from Charlotte and Atlanta. So this year's draft is very interesting in terms of the draft picks. So let's simulate the lottery and then scroll up.
Pencil in Detroit is 5.
Yeah, Detroit is 5, and Chicago or Atlanta is going to move into the top 4. Is our guess is based on previous streams. At 14, Lakers pick to the New Orleans Pelicans. At 13, Utah to OKC. At 12, Chicago. At 11, Houston to OKC. Chicago doesn't move up. Chicago's been winning games, though. They're almost back to 500.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting team to watch at the trade deadline. There was a lot of talk about how they're going to blow it up, but I don't know anymore. Who knows? Chicago has struggled to pick directions, and with this winning streak, probably will postpone a rebuild. Me and Eric, I would hate to be a Chicago fan.
Dude, yeah.
It's just directionless.
Mm-hmm.
Portland gets Golden State's pick at 10. And 9, Atlanta. So neither Atlanta nor Chicago moved up. At 8, Houston gets Brooklyn's pick. At 7 is San Antonio getting Toronto's pick, which is top 6 protected.
Oof.
So that's literally the best possible outcome for the Spurs getting it at 7.
And they still have their pick in the top 6 then, too.
Mm-hmm. At 6 is the Portland Trailblazers.
So Memphis moved up.
So Memphis moved up. We have not been getting lucky lately on Tankathon Sims, man. I don't know what it is. At 5 is... There you go. It's the Detroit Pistons.
Dude, gotta be kidding me.
Even when only one team before 5 moves up, they're still the team to fall out. Which is hilarious.
So we got Memphis, San Antonio, Charlotte, and Detroit. Or no, not Detroit. Who am I missing?
Washington.
Washington. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I mean, last year was even worse where no teams moved up until 5, which was us, and then Detroit fell. Kept the suspense all the way up to that pick. 2 for us.
That coding glitch happened in real life, too, for them last year. So.
Yeah, for real. They're punished. I don't know why Detroit's being punished so badly with the 28-game losing streak and moving down the lottery, but at 4 is Memphis, at 3 is Charlotte, at 2 is Washington, and at 1 is San Antonio again.
So they get Sar and their choice of like 5 different point guards at 7. Awesome.
Yeah, see, like a lot of people are like, "Oh, San Antonio would take Topic, number 1."
They probably get him at 7 now.
Yeah, maybe with this injury. But like they need to get a point guard, but there's a lot of good point guards in this year's draft. Mm-hmm. If they had 1 and 7, this is such an insanely good scenario. Like this is the best outcome for them. 1 and 7. You just take Sar at 1, and then you just take Dillingham or Topic or whatever point guard at 7. You can wait on point guard. You don't have to take one number 1. The thing is, there's how many players do you think have a chance of going number 1 right now? I think there's 3. Borderline 4.
Yeah.
And give me your opinion though.
Ricochet has been getting a ton of love.
That's where my borderline 4 comes in.
Yeah.
I don't really like him as a number 1 pick. I don't think he has enough upside, but
dude, I think obviously I think Sar's 1. The Topic injury, he was getting so much buzz. It's hard to ignore that even with the injury. So maybe him. I don't know about Ron Holland, man. I don't know.
I think he still has a chance to go number 1.
He's in play, yeah. I really think Dillingham has a chance to go number 1.
You think Dillingham? Well. I respect that. I like Dillingham, man.
Depending on what team gets it, I guess.
That would be fascinating. I would rather take Dillingham number 1 than Topic. God, this year's draft is so fascinating, man.
Yeah, I'm starting to really like it.
It's just the uncertainty, or just like the player quality.
I actually think the quality and this range that we're going to be picking is really good. I don't know.
So who are you higher on compared to when we talked last then? Because I feel like there has to be a couple guys that you're intrigued by them.
Well, I mean, I can't be much bolder than I was last time.
yeah, but is there anyone else?
Yeah, I'm just praying that Tijon falls to 6, or where do we end up 6 in this mock?
I don't think he's going top 5. I mean, I think he would potentially be.
I mean, it still have a long way to go.
I mean, at 6, if Ron Holland, Cody Williams, and Salon are all on the board, I'd maybe take Ron Holland because he's not falling to 10, and then just hoping Cody Williams or Salon falls to 10.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah. I'm just, I would be very nervous about those 2 guys not falling.
Bro, this year's draft stream is going to be awesome.
We don't have time to do
both
a mock draft tonight, JP. Come on.
Both this year's draft streams are going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, we're gonna have a lot to talk about after first round anyway.
I
Assuming we take both picks.
Man, I don't think we can go wrong with Tijon or Cody Williams. But I'm not passing up either of those guys for Ron Holland right now.
I would.
I don't want another G League Ignite guy that doesn't shoot. You know what I mean?
But at least he's 6'8", aka 6'6".
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is with Ron Holland, he should be a really good defender.
Yeah.
And he's a 3. Even at 6'6", he's still a 3.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's gonna have the same problems as Scoot, even if he struggles to shoot.
Yeah.
And with him, man, if he learns how to shoot, he's probably a star.
Yeah. I'm out on anyone that we're saying that about right now for this particular team, because we need shooters. We don't need.
I know, but we need like a superstar.
Yeah,
we need I have more faith in becoming a superstar caliber player than Cody Williams or Salon. I'm high on all three, but
okay. I was bold last week by saying Tijon's number 2 on my board.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now, and I have 180 witnesses.
Am I gonna fall out of my chair?
No, I have 180 witnesses and Torrey Jones, so 181. Tijon Salon will be the best player from this draft.
Okay.
When we look back at it,
I'm falling out of my chair.
I wouldn't take him over Sar, because Sar is the ideal big man in the NBA right now, someone who's switchable. I just think his defensive, the way he could impact a defense is really too much to pass up, because I think it's a game changer to have a big man that can switch up on perimeter players and keep them in front of them and can protect the rim like that. So I'm not taking him above Sar if I have number 1, but I think he's going to be the best player in the draft.
If we take Salon and he struggles next year, I'm going to say people told me he was supposed to be. This is your boldest draft take ever.
Eric did.
Yeah, this is your boldest draft take ever. I respect the boldness. Trust me. I'll get back in my chair here. I respect the boldness. I think it's too bold, but I respect it, because it's easy for people to just sit here and slightly rearrange the consensus board and be like, here's my draft boards, here's my opinions, But go ahead.
Part of it is this draft. I mean, there's not a clear-cut best guy, in my opinion. So
yeah, for me, it's just his ball skills are too raw to have that level of confidence for me.
Okay.
He has we talk about Scoot has a long way to go. He has a long way to go, in my opinion, in terms of his off the dribble game, passing, ball skill stuff. That's where I'm more hesitant. I like him. Yeah. I'm probably higher on consensus than him. Just not as high as you. So, which is fine. But yeah. And that's really the only reason I don't think I'm as high as you. Because if I had more faith in it, I would be putting him up there at 2 and maybe even agreeing with you.
Yeah. Next Jason Tatum, you heard
it here. Have you been able to catch game footage or a full game? Or I haven't, but
I've watched some games from a month or 2 ago, but he's been really good lately. And Javoni was just over there for some tournament, and he was raving about him too. This was yesterday. So I was hoping that game would be uploaded to YouTube soon so I could watch it.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, not. I'm still. I wish I could find a way to like watch it live or whatever, but. Yep.
Do you have any other prospects with new opinions?
I mean, not
Because we're
really.
starting to figure out who you like. I sat down and started messing around with a big board.
Yeah. Well, I did it. I think I just said this last stream, but I
Yeah,
did a
you did.
big board. Yeah.
I think Reed Shepard has a chance to be really good. Like
Mhm.
like elite role player. Does he have star potential? I don't know. But given
Yeah.
his ability to shoot the ball, it just comes down to like guard skills, ball handling. Like is he going to be able to get that shot off pick and rolls? Like you look at like the way Steph Curry shot coming into the league, and people had question marks about him, but like he became such a good ball handler, improved his ball handling so much, and did so much off the dribble. Like Shepard can pass. He's not the most athletic guy, but neither is Steph. Can he become a top 10 shooter of all time? Probably not, but
Maybe.
he has a chance to. You know what I mean? Like he's a good enough shooter. We're coming into the league like he has a chance to be like a top 10 shooter of all time. It is hard to pass that up. And he's kind of a pest on defense. He averages 2.5 steals a game in 26 minutes. Like he's a solid defensive player. Only question is like lateral quickness and being able to stay in front of guys. He's kind of a more solid college version of Thibault defensively, in a way, where he'll play passing lanes, he'll get steals, get his hands on balls, but at times you can beat him off the dribble. He's just a little smaller, so he's not going to block shots like Thibault does. So, but he's somebody that it's going to be hard to drop him out of top 10. Doesn't really make sense for the Blazers, but
Yeah.
just floor plus sneaky ceiling. Dalton Connect, I love. He's going to be older. He's going to be 23 on draft night, but I could see him coming into the league and averaging 13, 14 points per game as a rookie.
Yep.
He can shoot the three ball. He's crafty, can handle, can attack, athletic. Yeah. And he's starting to see. I liked him back when he was like second round, and he's one of those guys like, oh, I like this guy. Second round. Was looking at him with like Portland's picks, and now he's like up to 22, and his draft stock's just rising. One of those guys that I like ahead of the curve, Eric.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been fantastic the last couple weeks, too.
I know. I like him, and then he starts putting up like some insane performances. He had a 2-game stretch, 36 and 39. He was 12 for 20, 13 for 23, 5 for 8 from 3, 4 for 6 from 3. He's getting to the line. I mean, the thing is how tall is he? That's the question. If he's a legitimate 6'6", he's a back-end lotto guy. Like, he's a guy that if those three are off the board and the Golden State pick is like 12, 13, 14, if he's like a legitimate 6'6", like that's a guy I'm looking at. If he can play the three.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know who I'm starting to really like a lot?
Probably not, because it's going to be some dude from the NBA Academy of...
No, this is actual college player. Someone that you're very familiar with.
Oh, Hunter Salas?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He looks so good every time I watch him, man.
I know. Because he's hitting
like,
threes.
It doesn't even look like the same freaking player.
Dude. It's depressing, man. It's depressing. He's, yeah. I mean, 3 and D with athleticism at 6'4", 6'5", and can handle a little bit. I mean, he's a back-end first-round guy for me. Maybe could sneak up into...
creep into the early 20s,
yeah. Yeah. I fully agree with that.
I don't know if I mentioned this last time. I've mentioned it several times before, but I I'm much higher than consensus on Bronny.
You just love LeBron and Bronny, man.
Yep,
Yep.
that's exactly it.
Just kidding. He it's like one of those guys where it's very like he clearly translates to the league, but I want to see college production.
Yeah,
Like
I
better
mean,
college production.
yeah, but I mean, he hasn't been playing like what 6 weeks since he started being
Yeah.
cleared after or he did die and then was
Yeah.
resuscitated or whatever. Like I don't know.
He's not even on this board anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I guess he. Well, I'd be surprised actually if he didn't come out. But, um, dude, I just think he's got elite defensive ability, and his feel for the game is freaking off the charts, man. Like, he just, I don't know. I just feel like he's like so much better than anyone else in terms of just like playing. Now his size and stuff is probably the issue, but
See, like for that archetype, I'm taking Hunter Salas before him right now. You know,
yeah.
because
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one, but
Salas is actually like producing college level, like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I think a little bigger.
But
Um,
in his like third or fourth year, right?
he's barely 21 on draft night, so
Yeah. I mean, he's still young, but
he's
it's
in his
his
third year.
it's
Yeah,
his third year, right? Yeah.
yeah, he was a young freshman though. So,
Oh, I remember. I still have the notes. I think. I want to see if I can find it, but
G
yeah, I
League
like.
Ignite game is tomorrow, Eric.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, Remix versus Ignite is
Are you
tomorrow.
going?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Isn't
I'm
there
going.
isn't there two?
Yeah, tonight and Wednesday, G League Ignite games. Forgot to remind chat. Um, so
Nice.
I'm gonna do some in-person scouting of Ron Holland and Buzelis. I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah, and then Zavonimor Visic actually got cleared to play
That's exciting.
and looked really. Did you see the highlights?
No.
He was like he had 12 points and a couple assists and stuff in just a few minutes. Like
Yeah.
I think he played like 10 minutes or something. And he had this one where he caught the ball cutting right down the middle of the paint
Mm-hmm.
near the hoop, caught the ball and all in one motion behind the back out perfect pass to a 3-point shooter in the corner for a three. I was like, what the where
Yeah,
did
because
this come from?
he's like
Holy
7'2".
crap. Like so if he's like doing that kind of crap consistently, I mean he's
Yeah.
obviously not gonna like make every shot his college career,
Yeah.
but yeah.
He's
Um
that team is scary with the guard play if you got a guy like him. That's huge for
Yeah.
them. They're gonna be
Yeah.
they're probably gonna be in my final four because
mhm.
how do you match up with the guards and then a 7'2" guy that
Well
can
yeah,
play like he can?
he also looked like a rim protector.
Yeah.
As
No,
Antonio
he's
points out, he had a couple good blocks. I was like, what the heck, man?
he's the type of guy where it would have been like with one of our second round picks, you take a chance on him
Yeah.
because he's just kind of an unknown, but has size plus skill. So you just with a third or fourth pick in the draft in the second round, like that's the type of guy you take a chance on in that situation because that's the type of guy where like best case scenario you could see him maybe being a star in like the best case scenario, best case development for him because you know if you're 7'1", 7'2" with skill and can move and can shoot a little bit, can pass, like that's intriguing, you know.
Yeah.
The problem is that might be a bad thing with him getting cleared because there's probably a legitimate chance he plays his way into a first round prospect
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
this year's draft, given the, you know,
Well, I
safe
mean,
guys. Like, I think a team in the first round will probably want to take a swing, and that'll be the best guy to take a swing on.
I think I think he was. I don't know. I saw a lot of boards. I mean, I don't know if this is NBA scouts or whatever, but a lot of boards said like forgotten about him or moved him off the like top 60 or whatever. So I think he's gonna very quickly jump back up into it. People are like, okay, we missed the boat on this guy. But
I'm looking at his stat line right now. 16 minutes, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 assists, 2 steals, 5 for 7 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3.
yeah,
Like, he's listed as 7-2. Is there a chance he plays his way into the lottery?
I don't know. Maybe
Is he skilled enough to play his way into the lottery?
I don't know, man. Because didn't he drop out like right at the end last year?
Yeah.
Like, he was draft eligible, and so I'm not really sure why he did that, but
He's always been a name we've like kind of talked about a little bit
Yeah.
here and there each year.
yeah. But let me just say though, that's the dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard of, that the NCAA still punishes players for taking money for playing overseas when it was like
Yeah,
only
you
a couple $100 too.
Yeah.
And you can make like millions in NIL, but the dude gets a couple $100 for playing on a pro team overseas, and he's all of a sudden ineligible. Like,
If you can pay it back with your NIL money, they should allow them to do that and play.
right?
Like,
Yeah,
What are
exactly.
we doing, man? Yeah,
Yeah.
NCAA is a joke. But, I mean, you look at like all the buzz Filipowski's getting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude,
There's a good chance that I'd rather have a Visage at the end of the day than
Did you see the
Filipowski.
stat line, or did you see like a video of it?
Of what?
When you looked it up, did you?
I just
you
looked at a stat
Oh, okay.
line.
Yeah.
But like I've seen film on him the past couple of years because
Yeah.
we've had him in like the mock off-season draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done some research, and then he like drops out of the draft.
Yeah.
So, didn't Dro take him 1 year? I think Dro took him with the Mavericks 1 year, if I recall correctly. But
I think that was some other itch.
might have been. I could have swore Dro took him though. I don't know. But is a Visage probably going to be a first round guy at the end of the day, and possibly going to be a lottery guy. And I mean, well, he has upside to get into the top 10 in this year's draft class, probably.
Well, the Blazers could take him at 10
I mean,
if he gets up there.
there's a chance I'll want him at 10. I mean, like, you look at Kel'el Ware. Is Kel'el Ware really that much better than a Visage?
I don't know. I mean, it was one game, so
I know, but in 16 minutes, he made more threes than. That's the thing with Kel'el Ware. It's like, oh, he could shoot the three. In 16 minutes, a Visage made more threes in that game than Ware has made in a game this entire season.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I got to see more of him at Kentucky. So I'm just saying he has the upside. Like, I don't know where he ends up, but he's going to be higher than at back end of the second round, like Tankathon has him.
Dude, all of a sudden that Kentucky team, with those guards and him and Bradshaw,
Yeah,
they're
I'll say this right now. He'll be a lottery pick. You went bold. This is not as bold as you, but Visage will be a lottery pick.
okay.
A little less bold, but it's still pretty bold considering he's like back in second round on a lot of boards. So
Yeah.
that's my bold take. I need to go get Post-it notes so we can actually write them on the board. Because I want a board with a bunch of.
So you got
Post-it
Post-it notes.
I did, but I lost them. I don't know where they went. I think I might have accidentally
man.
thrown them out. Yeah. So,
Sorry. Man.
did I put? Hold on. Yeah, I don't know where they are. Anyway, don't know where they are.
Yeah.
They're not in the drawers behind me, so if I find them, we can write it on the board. But for now, we're just going to have to remember.
Yep.
Anyway, anything else for this stream?
I think we'll both remember those takes, right?
Probably. Chat, remind us. There's a couple I feel like I've forgotten.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for watching. We'll have Blazers Uprise live tomorrow afternoon. And then, do you know what the plan is for Tuesday?
What's the? I'll just be late,
Yeah,
probably. But it's a 5 p.m., so we'll end at like 7:30, so like 8:10-ish, 8-ish, 8:10-ish, sometime like that.
that's about what time I'll be ready to.
I think I'm going to try and record with Steven tomorrow night after the remix game and maybe give my thoughts on it in that recording, so stay tuned. Join our Discord, link in the description box below. You can be tagged. If you don't have notifications muted, you can be tagged every time we drop something in the Discord. And also follow us on Twitter, links in description below. Also, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. Remember, you can get a 125% deposit match with our link in the description box below. And also, once again, here is how you enter that Super Bowl giveaway. There's 2 games left to bet on for this, which is the NFC and AFC Championship, as this contest expires. It's over on January 25th. The winner is announced on January 26th. So once again, here's how you enter. Place a bet on either the NFC or AFC Championship. And share your bet slip on X/Twitter, minimum of $25. Tag the official BetUS account as shown here in the graphic and the friend you're inviting, and use the hashtag BetUSLVII to enter. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this post-game stream. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Thank you for making us a part of your Sunday night. And we'll see you tomorrow on Blazers Uprise Live on the second channel. Also, link in description. And shout out to Hyper Prime on the way out, member for 26 months. Said, glad to finally make a stream, sadly on a day we lose. It's good to see you, Hyper Prime. Been wondering where you've been, bro. It's been a minute. Good to see you, as always. And yeah, we're gonna look forward to tomorrow as the remix take on the Ignite. I'm looking forward to seeing that game in person. If you're there and you see me, say what's up. And that is a wrap for this edition of the Blazers Uprise post-game show. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.